Now, first and foremost, I'm not talking like comfort in, I'm on a comfortable couch or I've got a comfortable bed or, ergonomics in the comfort of your chair, right? It's not a physical comfort thing. I'm talking much bigger picture in your life. If you're comfortable in your everyday life, that is absolutely the enemy to success, and that is the enemy to you making progress in your business. Now, can you still make progress if you're comfortable? Sure, we'll go into that. But first, let's go a little deeper into this concept. Now, it's widely known that in kind of the entrepreneurial space, it takes an incredible hunger and an incredible fire inside in order for somebody to kind of muster up the energy and to break through that mental barrier, the fear of failing, the fear of putting yourself out there and being vulnerable. It takes this really kind of intense fire in order to propel somebody to that level of pushing through, and then to stick with it for 6 months, a year, 3 years, 5 years to truly achieve success. If you haven't heard the catchphrase that it takes 10 years to become an overnight success, I can tell you it's 100% true. It takes a whole lot of work before anybody even notices you blipping on the radar, but it's worth it in the end. So what is it that sustains people through that? It's an absolute hunger. And 9 times out of 10, that hunger comes from a very dark, challenging, deep, up against the wall place. I got a friend I know, kind of back in the day, this guy Ray, he was in the real estate space. I've got a real estate history, and our stories kind of coincide. They parallel a little bit. He was flipping houses in Florida back in the day, and he was on the line for something to the tune of like $20,000 to $30,000 a month in mortgages, in costs, in holding costs for the houses. Now, when the real estate market was going well, he was killing it. Right? He was flipping houses left and right. He was putting buyers in houses. Everything was going great. So he was scaling up the number of houses he bought. Real estate market crashes. What happens? He's holding the note for 4 houses or 5 houses that he literally cannot afford. And like the debt collectors come a-knocking. And he had a moment of reckoning. And he literally, I've heard him tell the story before, and he had, I think, 1 month's rent left. Literally, he had 1 month to cover all the costs, or else he was going to have to go into bankruptcy. His credit was going to get destroyed. He was worried about his marriage and his relationship. Shit was hitting the fan, right? He was very uncomfortable. So what did he do? He doubled down. He started an internet-based business. He actually went into the network marketing industry. It's not, I don't vouch for that industry by any means. I'm just telling you a good story here. And he came out swinging. He put in 15, 16, 18-hour days. He talked to everyone he could. He marketed online. He marketed offline. He marketed a warm market. He marketed a cold market. And again, this isn't anything to do, don't get hung up on the niche. That's not what it's about. What it's about is how hungry he came out. And I like the term, he came out swinging, right? He was up against the wall. He came out swinging. And you know what happened? He actually freaking made it, right? He didn't get foreclosed on. And it was sketchy for months and months at a time. So then fast forward, he kind of stuck with this. He didn't have a choice. He stuck with this kind of aggressive pace for long enough that it flipped. And then all of a sudden, a few years down the road, he was able to get off the gas a little bit, and boom, his business just kept growing because he built up such a bulk of momentum. For me, what was it? Honestly, for me, my father worked for the same corporation. He was a union worker. He worked in the newspaper industry for 33 years, and he was fired or let go or laid off or whatever you want to call it a year and a half before retirement. He's 62, 63 years old, and he gets fired so they could bring in someone for half his pay and with a tenth of his knowledge. And he was just let go. And they didn't have to pay him his whole vesting, and they didn't have to pay him his full retirement because he didn't make his full 35 years in the union. This pissed me off at a level that I cannot explain, and I cannot explain without using explicatives that I'm not feeling like using right now. I was furious and enraged to learn that a corporation would do that to my father. It got me to think about where I was going in my life, and I had an oh shit moment, to be honest. There's the explicative. It came out anyways, sorry. Anyways, I had a moment of like, I can't trust the system. This system, and my dad always said, go to school, get a good job, give it 30 years, and you're good, right? On the rich dad, poor dad scale of things, he was not from the rich dad mindset side of things. And that was the kind of credo that I grew up with was school, job, 30 years, you're good. And when I saw that, it didn't even work for him. How's that ever going to work for me? And at that moment, I knew I had to figure this out. and I had no job. I had $30, $40, $50,000 in counting. It was up to $50,000 at its peak in student loan debt. And that was my fire. That was the student loan debt collectors were coming. I had 6 months of a window. When you graduate college, they give you like 6 months before you have to start paying on your student loans. And I was like, I can't go into a corporate job. I ended up getting a job to supplement because my business wasn't far enough along. And then I worked nights, I worked weekends, I put in an extra 20 to 40 hours a week on my side business. And it was because of that discomfort of knowing I can't go down this path because they're gonna F me over the first chance they get, and I can't ignore my student loans. You can't go bankrupt on a student loan. You can't just let go. They're never forgiven. They stick with you forever. So you've got to kind of man up and make it happen. And that's what I did. I doubled down and made that happen. So I tell you these stories, and I'm doing this video because I want you to look at your life right now. If you're comfortable, if you're like, Miles, I love your ideas, like you're a good communicator, I kind of get hyped up and I enjoy thinking about or dabbling in the internet marketing world, but you know, I've got a pretty good job, things are going pretty good, wife's happy, everything's kind of happy. I'm telling you, that is the enemy. And that's the point I'm trying to make here, is that level of comfort in your daily life of, you know, I go hit the feeder bar, that's my term, you go punch the clock, you do the hours you gotta do, you get the paycheck's enough, it ain't super amount, but you're not digging a hole, you're not going into debt, and you're just kind of getting by. Here's the problem. You're going to be getting by for 10 years, maybe 15 years. You might not be gaining any skills. And at some point, automation, a robot, or a cheaper college graduate willing to do the same job you're doing right now for cheaper is going to come up. And you, my friend, might get the short end of that stick. And they might pull the rug out from underneath you. So I'm trying to fire you up a little bit right now and getting you to really check yourself and really do some honest soul searching here. Are you setting yourself up for a potential disaster in the future? Now, I'm not wishing that upon anyone. I just want you to be prepared, right? Number one, get your emergency fund set. If you don't have your emergency fund, I did a video on it. I'll link to it below here. Get your emergency fund dialed to buy yourself a few months in case the shit hits the fan for you. Number two, start building something with a fiery fervor, with this passion that you have to figure this out, because it's my opinion we all are going to have to be entrepreneurs in 20 years. There are going to be no good paying jobs. If you're an employee right now, they're going to fire you and bring in a contractor instead, and you need to pull the trick out. You need to figure this out before your corporation does, because if they figure this out before you and they make the move first, you're in reactionary mode and you're the one who's getting effed. If you put in the work, if you get motivated and you dig deep and start laying the foundation now, you'll be in the power play. You'll be able to walk up to your boss one day and say, you know what, boss man, I love working here, but I've done this thing on the side for 3 or 4 years, and guess what? It's paying me as much as you guys are paying me. I'm out of here. By the way, if you want to keep me around as a consultant, you can pay me $200 an hour and I'll consult you for 5 hours a week. See what I'm getting at here? You can keep that relationship, you can keep some cash flow coming in, but you become the power player in the situation. You're not reacting upon what the corporation is willing to give you. You get to make the rules, and that's the position you need to be in. So if you're comfortable right now in your everyday life, check yourself. Are you going full speed towards a cliff? Right? Everything feels good. If you're just floating along in the river of life and you're in a kayak and the waters are moving smooth, you know, deep waters flow smooth, and you're like, all right, this is cool. Everything's good, right? Then you hear something off in the distance. What's that sound? It sounds like water. It sounds like running water. And the water goes faster and faster, and the river accelerates. And at this point, you can't get out of the pull of the river. The river is stronger than you, and you're too far down the river, and you've been kind of lazy rivering it for a while, and you didn't realize you're headed towards a freaking waterfall. Boom, and it hits, and it feels like it blindsides you, but I'm telling you right now, I am your warning call, right? I am that warning shot for you at this moment in time. Shit is gonna change in your life for you, whether you're ready for it or not. So my friend, get ready. Let's do this. Build something on the side. I know you can do it. Rant over. I apologize if I got too crazy on that one. I will step down from this soapbox that I am on, but I do appreciate you, and it is from my heart that I say this. I'm being 100% honest that I really do believe you need to be building things on the side before there's any sign of danger, right? If you could hear that waterfall coming on, I'm not saying it's too late. You can get to shore. You can figure this out, right? If you're in that position, don't freak out. Just start taking consistent action. If you can hear that waterfall, double time it, right? Put in double days. That's what the pros do. You know, football squads come back from spring training. What do? They do morning and evening, and it hurts like hell, but you know what? They make up for lost ground for a few months off in the off season. So maybe that's where you're at. If you're just thinking things are going cool and you found my channel and you're just like, Miles, this guy seems cool, like I'm enjoying his videos, let this be a true, honest, sincere warning for you that you do really, truly need to be considering your future, because your corporation hates you. Your boss hates you. They're looking for a reason to fire you. They're looking for a way to replace you with an app, with a robot, with an AI, with a freaking intern who will do it for free. And if they get the opportunity, they're going to take it. And you, my friend, will be the one kind of like, whoa, what happened? And I'm giving you this moment so you don't have to go there. You can build it on the side, get momentum going before you need it. Thank you very much. I am officially, for the second time, getting off of the soapbox. Give me a thumbs up if you like it. If you hated it, leave me a comment below why. If you loved it, give me a comment. Let me know why. Subscribe if you haven't. I'll catch you on the next video because I got some cool stuff coming up for you. Thank you again for your time, and I will see you on the next video.